Hi everybody, my name is Cherita. Welcome to my channel. And in today's video, I'm actually going to be doing a response video to Darius Benson. He does Vines and YouTubes, and he did a YouTube video a while ago, maybe like a year ago, about how he does not think cheerleading is a sport. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do a response video to that. So if you would like to hear what I have to say, go ahead and stay tuned. Okay, so the video that Darius Benson did is called "Why I Don't Think Cheerleading is a Sport, Don't Kill Me," or something like that. I'm gonna go ahead and link that video down below in the description box. And he actually had some pretty good points, but I would like to kind of go further into detail on why cheerleading is a sport. Some of the things that he said kind of counteract with other sports, but I'll get into that later on in the video. So he wasn't dissing cheerleaders or taking away from the sport. He actually said that it takes a lot of talent to be a cheerleader, and there's a lot of things that cheerleaders do that he could never do, but it's the competitive part that he kind of has an issue with. He described a sport as an activity performed by an individual or team that requires a certain level of training or physical agility. And in that sense, he said, most definitely cheerleading is a sport. But he doesn't think that cheerleading is competitive by nature. What I think he meant by that is cheerleading, you are on the sidelines and you cheer for other teams. Normally that's what you think of when you hear cheerleading, and that's kind of how cheerleading started. So cheerleading was just like cheering for another team. There was nothing competitive about it. So that's why he means it's not competitive by nature, which I agree with that, because starting out, cheerleading starting out was just standing on the sidelines kind of rooting for your team. It was barely even athletic when it first started. Then he went on to say that the only form of cheerleading that is a sport is competitive cheerleading, which has continued to evolve over 10, 15, 20 years. And he considers that a sport, kind of, but because of the way the sport is judged, he does not find that it is a sport. So he went on to kind of compare cheerleading to other sports that have judges, such as gymnastics. Actually, he said that he enjoys gymnastics. He watches gymnastics in the Olympics. He considers that a sport. But then other sports that have judges, such as dancing and maybe ice skating. I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head, but I believe he said that even those are not really considered sports because they're judged from a subjective point of view. And to me, any sport that has a judge or even a referee, which is every single judge, to me is subjective. How many times have you seen professional basketball players who take 15 steps before they shoot and a travel's not called? How many times have you seen a wide receiver push off and an offensive pass interference not be called, or vice versa? Even, on the defense side of the ball, pass interferences aren't always called on certain athletes. And to me, that's subjective. That's, saying, well, it could have. No. A pass interference is a pass interference. A travel is a travel. Same with boxing. The fight that just happened not too long ago between Mayweather and Pacquiao, I believe, a lot of people thought that Pacquiao should have won because of X, Y, and Z, and other people thought Mayweather should have won because of X, Y, and Z. And I guess it can all be subjective, but in the end, the judge, the person, the referee who knows most about that sport is the one who is able to say they won because of this. Darius also mentioned that in football, basketball, soccer, baseball, you can physically see, like there's a scoreboard, you can physically see who's winning. You look at the scoreboard and you see this team has 50, this team has 14. So obviously the team who has 50 is winning. And the same thing goes for cheerleading. It's not like the judges just sit up there with their arms crossed and they just watch the routine and they go, I liked that one the best, they're winning. That's not how it goes. There are numbers, and you can take a score sheet and you can see, well, this team performed, X amount of skills for their level, and they performed it in the best manner that it should be performed. So they got a higher score. So it's not just sitting there and going, okay, well, I just really like that team, or I just really like that uniform, or I just really liked whatever about that routine. Judges don't just pick and choose based off of everything that they saw. A judge has to give numbers. There's reasonings behind it. Like if you look at a score sheet, it's broken down very well. The only thing that might be subjective when it comes to cheerleading is a bobble. And that's, I guess, the same as what you would consider a travel in basketball. I don't know. To me, a travel is a travel. If you took more than, 2 or 3 steps, then it's a travel. And then in cheerleading, a bobble, like if you break your body line to try to save a stunt, that's a bobble. Other people consider a bobble bases moving underneath you, but that's something that probably just has to be declared in the actual cheerleading world. So what Darius was saying was judges are people who know a lot about the activity, but it depends on them, and it's very subjective. However, we expect these referees in all these other sports, and even in baseball, we expect these umpires to know when it's a strike, or when it's a fumble, or when it's whatever. You can't just take anybody off the street and turn them into a referee. And the referees and the umpires are kind of what make up the score. If the umpire doesn't call a strike when it should have been a strike, then that can change the whole dynamic of that game. If you have a bad referee or umpire, it definitely can change anything. Just like it was a football game, and it was like one referee called touchdown, the other one called incomplete. Like, people do make mistakes, but at the same time, it's like these are people who we expect to know more about about their sport, and that definitely played a huge part in that game. A huge part. That was, that's something that people probably still talk about today. In the end, I think there were some points that Darius had that were good, and then other ones that he probably just doesn't know too much about how competitive cheerleading actually works to say, why he thinks it's subjective. Because if cheerleading is subjective, gymnastics is subjective, diving is subjective, ice skating is subjective, all of that is subjective. And if we want to go further, I believe that baseball and basketball and football and soccer and boxing, all those sports are subjective if he's using that argument. I think that's everything that I really wanted to talk about in terms of his video. So, and I would really like him to see this video, so if you guys could share it, tag him in it, whatever, that would be great. So thank you guys for listening to my rant about cheerleading. I'm sure there'll be more videos to come about cheerleading, seeing as the season is starting very, very soon. So thank you for watching. Bye. Wow.